Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 5, Text number 6. Naham Veda Param Yasmin Na Param Na Samam Vibho Nama Rupa Gunayar Bhavyam Sad Asat Kinchit Anyataha Sadasat Kijinanyata. Na, do not. Aham, myself. Veda, no. Param, superior. He, for. Asmin, in this world. Na, neither. Aparam, inferior. Na, nor. Samam, equal. Vibho, O great one. Nama, name. Rupa, characteristics. Gunaihi, by qualification. Bhavyam, all that is created. Sat, eternal. Asat, temporary. Kinchit, or anything like that. Anyata, from any other source. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Whatever we can understand by the nomenclature, characteristics and features of a particular thing, superior, inferior, equal, eternal or temporary, is not created from any source other than that of your Lordship, thou so great. The manifested world is full of varieties of created beings in 8,400,000 species of life, and some of them are superior and inferior to others. In human society, the human being is considered to be the superior living being, and amongst the human beings there are also different varieties, good, bad, equal, etc. But Narada Muni took for granted that none of them has any source of generation besides his father, Brahmaji. Therefore he wanted to know all about them from Lord Brahma. Amagyan Timarantasya Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshushanmilitam Dena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhischa Kripasindubhayevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This chapter is entitled The Cause of All Causes, and we are hearing a discussion. It's called the Brahma Narada Samvaha, something like that. It's Narada Muni asking Lord Brahma about the creation, the cause of all causes. He's asking these questions, or the conversation is being related following Maharaj Parikshit's inquiry in the previous chapter, because he's learnt that he's about to die within 7 days, so he's asking, what should I hear about? And the name, the characteristics and the qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that's what's been recommended to him by Sukadeva Goswami, that he should hear those things. Anybody who's about to die, or anybody who's in any circumstance, that's what they should actually hear about. You can be worried about the immediate circumstances, but the ultimate circumstances, when you understand who you are In reality, that's what should be addressed. There's only 4 main problems of life: birth, death, old age, and disease. These are the real problems. Everything else is just minor. So Parikshit Maharaj, he thought, well, okay, I've got 7 days. So if I can sit here and hear for those 7 days, then I should be able to meet with the upcoming circumstances of my departing my body. He was learned, he was wise, manisi, thoughtful. So he thought 7 days, well, first I'll ask about the Maya Shakti, the Lord's creative potency. The name, the characteristics and the qualities, I'll get to them. That's the Chit Shakti, or the Leela, the pastimes of the Lord. So in all Vedic presentations, the first thing to be established is the creation, where everything came from, who's the source of everything. And this conversation here between Brahma and Narada Muni asks 6 questions, which form the substance of these following chapters. In order to understand, then we need to be in an inquisitive frame of mind. We need to question. The subject that we're discussing here in these classes, Srimad Bhagavatam, is the topmost reality. Who am I? Kayami. This is the first question that anybody should ask, or anybody who has come to the human platform. There's different types of humans. There's different types of humans. In the first line of the purport, it's described that there are 8,400,000 different species of life. Of the 8,400,000, 400,000 are considered to be humans. So there's 400,000 different types of humans. And further on it's described there are superior, inferior, equal, temporary, eternal. Many different situations that humans can find themselves in. So we're here now, and we need to understand how. Who am I? And how did I get here? Where have I come from? Where am I going? And on the way, why am I suffering? Krishna Kirtan often quotes in his classes, or at other times, that pain is obligatory. Part of the material world is there's pain, but suffering is optional. You can choose to tolerate the pain, you can choose to deal with the pain, you can choose to accept the pain, understand where it's coming from, and accept it as a gift, or you can worry about it, complain about it, and then it becomes more intense. So we've come here, and somehow or other, by special mercy, we've met a devotee, or we've done something pious in a previous life. In order to have the human form, it means that in a previous life we've done some devotional service. It's not just an instant thing, now suddenly I'm in this human form, because 8,400,000 of species of life, they start with the creatures that are in the water, and there are 900,000 of them, different species in the water. Then the process of evolution that goes up another stage. From there you go to the 2 million vegetables. So if we've started from the bottom, we've been an aquatic, then we've been in 2 million different species of vegetable. Normal, the progress is one to the next. You become a first-class vegetable, then you become the next vegetable. There's the king of vegetables. Then above that is the 1,100,000 worms and reptiles. They are considered to be a little bit superior to the vegetables because they can move around. They can get closer to it. If there's a source of spiritual sound vibration, then they can be attracted to it. Even though the worms, they're pretty dull, but still they can move. Then the next level up is the 1 million birds. They're very mobile. And they're already starting to ask questions. You hear them, all the noise, the chirping in the morning. I found some good food. Where is it? Over that direction. How are you today? And they're out there playing around, doing all of their little antics. They stretch and perform their morning ablutions. Then next level up is the 3 million beasts. The beasts, the four-legged beasts, the mammals, the other animals who are considered beasts. Next level up, and at the top of the beast is probably the primates, the subhumans. Then there are 400,000 human species. We'll get into a little bit more and try and put numbers to those 400,000. What constitutes a human? What constitutes somebody? Because 2 arms and 2 legs, beasts have got 2 arms and 2 legs. It doesn't mean human. So there's different forms there. So we start to be fortunate we're here. We've got the chance to exercise our human propensity. And that the way to actually fulfill the human propensity is to hear, to use the rational sense. The rational animal is what the human is characterized as, the rational animal. That they can use logic, they can make sense of things, they can actually inquire. There's different topics for inquiring. There are technical fields, there's mundane fields. There's different ways of getting education. Nowadays, there's the search on the internet. There's so much stuff that you can come across, you can fall across, but there's a price to pay. You get involved in that surfing and then you lose your time, and sometimes you're going up the wrong path, and sometimes what is presented is not authoritative, and ultimately what drives the internet is money. There's some motive behind it, there's some profit to be achieved, there's some you look up something and immediately what comes back at you is all these other bargains that you could have got in that same field. It's specially attuned to work out what it is that you're interested in. Business. The value of that knowledge, that education you can get by paying some money or paying your time, eventually you're going to pay your money, is spurious. It's not so valuable. Transcendental knowledge, the process of achieving transcendental knowledge in answering these basic questions: who am I? Where have I come from? Why am I suffering? This requires a different type of methodology and a different type of offering, of reciprocation. You have to find somebody who is wise, somebody who is learned, somebody who is experienced, somebody who is advanced, and you have to approach them and inquire from them and then take what they're saying and put it into practice. It's very practical. The advice, the information often leads to do some service. Why am I suffering? You've forgotten Krishna. How am I going to remember Krishna? Chant his name. Do some service. Engage in something practical to attract his attention. So this is the means of gaining that information. Like we can also just hear. We can attend class and we can hear. But if we don't intend to engage in service, it goes in one ear and out the other ear. If we're not attentive, if we're not inclined to try and understand something, then it's just very superficial. In order to ask questions, it requires a little bit of presence of mind, because generally the questions that are being asked, we're fielding questions, should be about the topic that we're discussing. In other forums, you might just meet somebody and you've got a superficial question or a general question. But here we're discussing specific topics. So if we can come up with a question that's related to the topic, that's glorious. We see here in some of these 2 verses down, that Lord Brahma, he responds to Narad's inquiries, and he says that I'm inspired by your questions. So therefore, with that inspiration, then let's launch into the topic. I can start to relate all that I'm aware of on this particular subject, and make you aware of the range of information, the range of areas that this subject touches. But even if we don't come to that point, if we don't have enough presence of mind to ask questions, we're very fortunate nowadays, because the forum where the discussions are being presented, it's an open forum. You just have to turn up. You just have to be here, and you can hear, you can become made aware of so many different fields, so many different areas that completely beyond our normal conception of life. Still, in order to get more out of the exchange, it behooves us to have a proper attitude. Not a challenging attitude. When you start to get into the mood of challenging, let me propose something, let me show you how much I've learnt, let me try and advertise my product in your forum. You've gathered an audience, and now everybody here is alert, or they're a little bit awake, so I'll throw in an advertisement for something else. I remember once I was assessing the different questions. About 3 of them were just people checking that they were sort of on the right page, just running their philosophy out, trotting their philosophy out and seeing if it was accepted. Another 3 out of the 10 were trying to steal the storm, trying to take over the class, trying to show that they were better, and that's in a challenging spirit. Some were downright just offensive. And that's not the way to get knowledge. It's not the way to actually understand. One lady had come, and she was not hearing what we were saying, but was just sitting on her platform and describing the nature of the absolute truth. And after a heated exchange between the two of us, I got off the seat and said, "Well, do you want to come and sit here?" But no, she wanted to sit on the side and throw in her 2 bobs worth. It's described that people, they take this Bhagavad Gita and they insert their own nasty business there in the name of the Gita. Or there are many people, they say, Prabhupada said. Sometimes we brought to Prabhupada's attention. I didn't say that. So it's called academic integrity, to take the information and to be chaste and in line with what's actually being presented, not trying to twist something else out of it. So 3 advertisements, 3 challenges, and sometimes even worse than that. And then I've also observed the response of the speaker. Somebody who's giving a not to the point question, then they'll either be ignored, they won't be called forward to present their question, or they will get a simple one-line response. It's a nonsense question, you'll get a nonsense answer. And a sincere question, the speaker can speak for 10-15 minutes, just pouring their heart out about the subject matter, because they've seen a receptive listener, a receptive hearer. So this is the methodology in order to understand the nature of the absolute truth. We have to find somebody who's got the knowledge, we have to approach them in a submissive way, inquire from them submissively, and render service. And then when that person is pleased by observing our submissive attitude, then they will pour their blessings. Gaining transcendental knowledge is not a matter of fight and ambition, and it's a matter of pleasing those who have that knowledge, rendering service to them, and then getting their blessings. So that requires a proper attitude. The verse 434. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshantite jnanam jnaninas tatvadashna Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from them submissively and render service unto them. Such a great soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. They're tattvadarshi, they've seen the truth. They see it and they live it. It requires some special mercy, some special blessing, some special piety to be able to see. We're all seeing, and we think the quality of our eyes, we can see. So there are people who are creating, developing, who are geniuses, and they can see something else. They can see something else in the workings of nature. They can then take that and they can exploit it. They can put it. They can make a lot of money from it. They can then use something that we think, oh wow, that's a wonderful little gizmo. That'll help me. Previously, I was struggling. So some people can see. Everybody can see differently. The animals, the dogs, their range of vision is different. There are human beings who have what's called a red-green colour blindness. They're colour blind. They can't see certain colours. I think that the dog is more prominent for hearing. They can hear sound vibrations at a much higher frequency that we can hear. So the different senses, the different abilities to perceive, that's dependent upon the type of body you've got. The type of body you've got is dependent upon the modes which you're influenced by, the modes of goodness, passion and ignorance. And we choose, we have a desire to enjoy in a certain way, fashioned by the modes that we're influenced by. Prabhupada gives the example of a tiger. A tiger, they want to enjoy the blood of other animals. They want to taste that blood. So that's the proper body. You get that body and you can go and hunt and rip open that creature and slake your thirst on the blood. Other adjustments of the particular modes, they create a different form. The three modes, goodness, passion and ignorance, is described 3 times 3 equals 9. 9 times 9 equals 81. And then you multiply it again, 81 by 81, you get close to 8,400,000 different species of life. So there's all those different combinations of modes, and that creates all the facility because people have got so many different desires. And in those different desires, then the body, which you've got, and it's hard to suddenly jump into a different body. You've got a body and you live in a particular planet. Nowadays it's difficult to travel, so it's more restricted. You've got a particular body and you're limited by the modes and by the senses and what you can experience. So 400,000 species of human. From all different ranges. Human, one of the desires of human is that we can use our brain. We can use our brain substance to adjust and controlling and enjoying. So according to the capacity of the brain substance, the capacity of the ability to think, then we have different abilities, different access to different facilities. There's one Vedic literature, it's called the Book of Fools. There's 100 fools, 100 types of fool, which are listed. I saw a modern Western shortened version. It was a cartoon, 10 types of idiot. There was the nincompoop, the dullard, the buffalo brains, the stool for brains, the idiot, did I say bumpkin? Different people like that. So they're considered to be idiots or fools. So the Vedas have described 100 different categories of fools, people who've got a foolish outlook, a childish outlook on life. They're bereft of some screws. Then the Vedas, there's also other different types of living entity. Those who are pious and impious. Pious and impious. That pious is considered to be there's the gross materialist, Then there's the impious gross materialist, who is antagonistic, who is evil and vicious and not regulated. Higher than that is the pious individual. Pious activities, well, they want to hear about things which are going to bring them closer to God. Higher than piety is somebody who's religious. Religious means they're more interested in some practical form of religion. Higher than religious is spiritual. Because there's different religions. There's the religion of making money, there's the religion of living. Higher than that is spiritual. And higher than spiritual is devotional. So there's different levels, equal, higher, superior, different levels of philosophies and attitudes. So of the impious, Bhagavad Gita describes there's 4 types of impious living entities. Can somebody remember those? Yeah, Namam Duskritina Mudha. Yeah. Naradama. Okay. So there's the Mudha, the ass-like person, and it's described that they are like beasts of burden. They work very, very hard, and the typical example is the donkey who works for the washerman. He carries all of these big loads on his back, loads of washing, and he's trudging along to get to the place where they're going to be hung out to dry. And as he's walking along, all along the side of the road there's all of this food to eat, there's grass. But he's working hard because he thinks that at the end of the day his owner will feed him some special food. So he's working hard as an ass without realising that just everywhere there's facilities. You don't have to become a slave for the boss. Then higher than the Mudha, or another one after the Mudha, is the Naradama. The Naradama. Nara means human, and Adama means the lowest of mankind. And in Prabhupada's purport there, he describes that this accounts for about 90%, 99% of the population. They appear fancy and neat and puckered, but their inclination to hear is zero. And a typical example of people who live in these exotic mansions, they have all of the outward trappings, but inside their heart is empty. They've got all these externals, but nothing inside. Maya Pritagyana, they're big show-offs. They've got some knowledge, but unless the knowledge is turned towards their relationship and their service mood towards the Supreme, then all of the fancy words that they're speaking, the conclusion is stolen by illusion. They just make fools of themselves. And the Asuram, the Asura, the demoniac person, the picture in one of the original Bhagavad Gitas was the Bible thumper, the person who's up there and just claiming that this is the only way, religion is the only way, and everything else is, if you follow anything else, you're going to hell. So the Asuram Bhavam Ashrita, those who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, even though they're claiming, but they're atheistic. They don't understand that God is a person and how to develop a relationship with him. So those are the impious. Then there's the pious. These are another part of those 400,000. We're going through some of the 400,000 different species of life. The pious are those who approach God in times of need. One who is in distressed. One who's distressed. I need some shelter. And they approach a proper shelter. Often when you're in distress, you'll accept any help. And sometimes you get put into more distress. But if you approach the right place at the right time, the right person, then that's a result of your piety, and you'll get some relief. The distressed, those in want of wealth, they've got nothing, they're so poor, they're bereft of any good assets. So they'll approach and they'll try and get education, they'll try and get trained, they'll try and get something of value. And either they can use that, reinvest it back into improving the situation. There are many people, they get help from different foundations, or they recover from cancer, and then they dedicate their lives to setting up a foundation which is going to put money, raise funds, put research, and help others who have been suffering. So if you find some wealth as a result of surrendering to God, then it depends on how you use it. Then those who are inquisitive, those who realise they're dumb, they don't know anything about what's going on. They think, I better find out. I better start looking around and opening my eyes and opening my ears and maybe get some education, work out what's happening. So you go to school. There's the Shreyas and the Prayas. There's short-term thinking, Prayas. Shreyas and Prayas, I can remember those by Prayas is play, and Shreyas is school. When the young kid is left to his own devices, he just wants to play all day. But his parents direct him towards the school. Go to school. In the future, it will keep you in good stead. You'll have something to fall back upon. Whereas those people who've just wasted their time playing and thieving and being a nonsense, then in the long term, they'll be they'll be at less of an advantage. So to learn something. And then the topmost type of pious person is those who are inquisitive about the nature of God. They don't want to know, or they're happy to hear other things, but they're always trying. Their inclination is always to understand, what is the nature of the Supreme? What is the nature of Krishna? What is the nature of God? What is my relationship with the Supreme? Who am I? Who am I? And then there's another verse, Hunindra, Kirata, Pulindra, and it lists about 12 different tribes, 12 different people who have come from different backgrounds. I was reading the Scandinavians, Scandinavia. They were originally the tribe that was worshipping Lord Skanda, the god of war. The Scandinavians, the Vikings, they have that particular, so they've come from that stock, that background. And the Huns, Hunindra, Huns, they became the Hungarians. And there's the Kasha. Kasha is indicated that they don't have much hair on their upper lip. So the Kasha races, they're in the Middle East and in the Asian countries. So that's the background. It's we're proud. We think that we're white people, or we're light coloured. But actually, most of those the tribes that we've come from, they were red-skinned, reddish-skinned. So the statement here: in human society, the human being is considered to be the superior living being. And amongst the human beings, there are also different varieties: the good, the bad, the equal, or the good, the bad, and the ugly. So these are some of the different varieties of the 400,000 humans. And those, the piety also means those who have turned to God, and impiety means those who haven't turned to God. They've turned away from God. So sinful is considered if you haven't been doing things in accord with the Supreme Personality of God, with the laws of God, following the laws of nature. Sin means, and you get reactions for sin if you do something against the laws of nature. In the Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj, he expresses about this, and he quotes a verse which says that if you were a drunkard in a previous life, then you'll have problems with your teeth, become toothless. If you were a gold thief, then your nails will start to manifest the result of that sin. You get diseased nails. So the sin, and the Manusmriti talks much more about all these different things and how to atone for them. So there's lots of different areas of information that we can access by submissively inquiring from somebody who has seen the truth. Narada Muni, he asked Lord Brahma, okay, everything I see, I understand that it's all generated from you. You're the source of all of these humans. So, as was said in about 3 verses before, the manufacturer of something should know how it was put together, what the ingredients are, what the end result will be. Just like somebody who has a walnut in their grip. They've got access to all those things. So Narada Muni, he's going to Lord Brahma and he's asking him. And we see later, Lord Brahma immediately says that, well, you're convinced of this, but I have to let you down, dispel some of your doubts. It's not me, it's Krishna. It's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. I'm just his representative, and I'm considered to be the most pious, the most pure living entity in the material realm. I was just contemplating with the classification of the 400,000 humans. There are the demigods, are they considered human as well? Okay, so different types of humans. Some of these demigods, they're like the Kim Purusha. I thought that they were humans because Purusha means human. Kim Purusha. What sort of human is that? They might have a man's head and animal's legs. Or the Kinnaras. There's so many different varieties of human forms. And there are the pious ones and the impious ones, the higher planets, the lower planets. So the human form is the best, considered to be the superior living form. But then even within the human form, and the particular planet you're on, the particular circumstances on, there are varieties. Some good, some bad, some ugly. So you've got to try and another example is given of we're in this material world. The aspiration, we recognise we're a prisoner. We might be a third-class prisoner. We're eating out of an iron bowl. We've got an iron shackle. To aspire to become a first-class prisoner, to have golden facilities or a golden chain, is not real success. It's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal of life for the living entity is to get out of the prison altogether, to go back to Godhead. So this is the means. We can't just try and shift our position to a better quality position within the material world. We have to get out. There's no solution to all of the situations, all the problems of life. It's not a matter of adjustment. You've got to rise above it. You've got to get out from the influence of the modes, goodness, passion and ignorance, and start to exist on the platform of Sudasattva in the spiritual realm. So this hearing, questioning and answering, this is the means, the Vaishnava prescription. Hear about Krishna, chant about Krishna, glorify Krishna, engage in service to Krishna, or those who are connected to Krishna. And that will actually help to uplift us in our understanding of who we are and where we're going and why we're suffering and what's the goal of life. So does anybody have any questions? Manivanda Prabhu.
So you mentioned 8,400,000 species, so the scientists, they classify that 8,400,000 different bodily types, but the Vedic classification is the different types of consciousness. Maybe you can talk a bit about that.
Yeah, for instance, the devotees, we could have been classified in one of those 100 types of fools. I know that I had a nickname which was related to the buffalo brain, and we've come from certain low-class backgrounds, but if we've changed our mentality, and after the change of the mentality, change of our consciousness, then the form of the body actually changes. The shape of the face. People who come in contact with devotional service, they develop more moon-like features and lotus eyes. So the subtle bodies, Prabhupada often says, the body has changed, but it's the subtle body which has changed. So there's all these different categories of consciousness. And whereas to try and count all of the different gross bodies, even some bodies are very gross, but the inside can be very, very beautiful. So it's the consciousness which we should be aware of, the subtle body, which is more of an indication of our connection with the nature of the absolute truth. The scientists, they're looking externally. And because they don't accept the so-called rascal scientists, they don't accept the nature of the Supreme. So therefore, they are maya prita jnana, they're blocked from understanding the nature of reality and what they're classifying. And they go into minute detail. They're just getting trapped and locked in those areas. We don't need to search for all of the different species. We just accept. And these 8,400,000, they're on different planets throughout the universe. The scientists are saying there's no life on other planets. Whereas we know to the contrary that there's life on every single planet. Sava, on all planets, just like even on the sun planet, there are living entities. The structure of their body is different. Here we have the earth, water, fire, air, ether. On the earth planet, the body is predominantly a mixture of earth and water. But on the sun planet, earth, water, fire, air and ether, the predominant element is the fire element. So you can survive in such an environment. And there is a law of nature that you learn to adjust to your environment. You can tolerate, you can adjust to your environment. We can train ourselves, we can train our consciousness to elevate ourselves within this particular environment. We're not just stuck here. Something. Nice to see a few of the devotees gathering for the build-up to the Shravanam Kirtanam festival. We're going to be inundated, and I think the flavour begins tomorrow and then on. And so again, it's just a matter of just being here and taking advantage of all the wonderful association and hearing and chanting, dancing and feasting. Chanting, dancing and feasting. We chant and dance. When we get a little bit tired, then we take some refreshment so we can chant and dance some more. And in between time, because there's so many learned souls gathered, we can inquire, ask some nice questions. I heard that the festival down in Sydney for the 50th anniversary was very attractive. Lots of kirtan, and one of the reasons to gather the devotees together was that the leader was hoping to get blessings from those who were working under him during a particular time period. So the same thing here. We can ask for blessings, ask for help, ask for shelter, inquire, render service. With so many people coming, the way to really make the most of a festival is to be in the mood of the host rather than the guest, to try and serve others, to try and make their experience as wonderful as possible. And then they'll pour blessings. And with those blessings, then what we're trying to achieve will become much easier. It will stick. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.